On this Good Friday, Christian pilgrims from around the world today retraced the steps of Jesus on his way to the cross. The procession filled the narrow streets of Jerusalem's Old City. Palestinian Christians held a similar observance on the West Bank. Pope Francis today condemned the attack by Islamic militants on Christians at a Kenyan university that left 147 people dead. It's just the latest example of the targeting of the followers of Jesus. National Security Correspondent Jennifer Griffin has more tonight from the Pentagon.
While marking Good Friday at the Vatican in Rome, Pope Francis listened as a papal preacher decried how the world is ignoring the growing persecution of Christians.
Christians are, of course, not the only victims of homicidal violence in the world, but we cannot ignore that in many countries, they are the most frequently targeted victims.
Earlier, the Pope sent a telegram of solidarity to the victims of the Kenya University terror attack, condemning the senseless brutality and praying for a change of heart among its perpetrators. The attackers separated Christians from Muslims, executing Christian students on the spot. In Nairobi today, outrage and sadness about the attack that left 147 Kenyans dead, 79 wounded.
I would like to challenge the Muslim community to, even if it will be to call a conference and distance themselves from what is happening, because it's a bit unfortunate that
the Al-Shabaab gunmen from neighboring Somalia scouted targets in advance where Christians gathered, like the 270 Nigerian schoolgirls kidnapped by Boko Haram a year ago. These students were targeted for their religion. It's just the latest in a string of attacks on Christians around the world that seem to be accelerating since the emergence of the so-called Islamic State in Syria and Iraq. Attacks like this one targeting the tomb of the Old Testament prophet Jonah in Mosul. More than 140,000 Christians have been forced to leave their homes in Iraq since ISIS announced the caliphate in 2014. An estimated 500,000 Christians have fled their homes in Syria. Some say it is the death knell for Christianity in the Middle East.
One of the ultimate goals of jihadists, all jihadists, Al-Qaeda, ISIS, and others, is basically to produce a civilizational war between an Islamic world that they would control and what they consider as the Christian, Judeo-Christian West.
On July 25, 2014, ISIS declared Mosul free of Christians. In February, Islamic extremists in Libya kidnapped and slit the throats of 21 Coptic Christians from Egypt. In March, in Pakistan, Taliban suicide bombers blew up near 2 churches in Lahore, killing 14.
President Obama called Kenya's president tonight to express his condolences. The White House said the attack will not preclude him from visiting Kenya in July. In a statement condemning the, quote, terrorist atrocities, the president did not refer specifically to Christians being the target, even though a White House statement yesterday did. At the Vatican, the Pope's representative warned Christians in the West not to be like Pontius Pilate and wash their hands of these events.